What's up, everyone? All right, so today is the worst day that I've had in months. This was not a good day, and it's pretty discouraging because it started strong. Well, it started well. It got better, and then it went bad. And the disappointing thing is, I'm red on a stock that went up over 100%. So to kind of walk you through how this is even possible, we have to go back to the beginning. And I'll recap the actual trades with my screen share, and I'll show you the trades and everything else. We'll get into the detail of the individual trades, but in summary, what happened today on GCT, this Chinese IPO, it IPOs yesterday. The company sold 2.5 million shares, approximately at about $12 a share. So they raised like $30 million in their IPO. The stock starts trading yesterday, and it went up to a high of about $21. It then sold off hard. It wasn't clean yesterday. And I didn't trade it yesterday. I was like, this doesn't look good. But through the afternoon, it started to rally back up. And then pre-market, it kept going. And this morning, between 7 and 8 a.m., it broke through yesterday's double top of 21 and squeezed up to $28 a share. I sit down at 8 a.m. I wasn't sitting down early. I was like, it's Friday. It's been kind of a slow week. I don't really think that I'm going to be missing much by sitting down at 8, but I had just missed this, $8 a share parabolic squeeze. So I'm watching it pulling back on the 5-minute chart, and I'm like, okay, it's on the back side of the move. I missed the front side. I can't really trade it here. It pulls back a bit more, and it comes down to the volume weighted average price. And I was like, well, I could take a dip trade here. So I did take a dip off VWAP, small size, 500 shares. It bounces up $1 a share. I make $500. And I was like, all right, that puts me in the green. It ends up breaking VWAP, going down a bit lower, back towards $21. It holds support at yesterday's high. So previous resistance becomes support. It curls back, gets back over VWAP, and I traded it again through the VWAP. And on this one, we got a nice pop back to 24, consolidation, then a break up to 26, and I got myself to up 3,000 on the day. And I was like, okay, I'm getting in the groove. And this thing is showing strength because it got back over VWAP. That's good, that's what we wanna see. All right, well, then it starts consolidating between $26 and $24. And we're on this kind of longer consolidation. It's not really an ABCD pattern on the 5-minute because it sort of pulled back too much and then just was consolidating too long. But it was definitely an ascending wedge. It was definitely holding up. And so I saw some green on the tape and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna punch it. I think it's about to break. And if it breaks through 26.59, next target, high a day 28, and then 30, 35, 40, who knows? So I jumped in 4,000 shares. It squeezes just a little bit up to 25.75, and then all of a sudden this big order goes through and this thing dumps to $24. And I had no choice but to stop out. I mean, I could have added, but if I had added on that flush of $1.50 a share with 4,000 shares, well, actually I did add. I added 1,000 shares, but if I had like doubled down and gone to 8,000, and then it dropped another $1 a share, I'd be down 16, 20 grand, right? I mean, I could get really hammered on that trade, and that would make it just terrible loss. So instead, ruthless, cut the loss. Unfortunately, not 30 seconds later, it's back at 26. It chopped me out. I stopped out like 2 cents above the low, and it rips back up to 26. And on that loss, I went from up 3,000 to red on the day. And I don't even remember exactly where I was. I think I was down 3,000. So it comes back to 26, goes up to like 26.50, consolidates for a second, and I got back in at about 26. I was like, okay, it's holding. It flushes to 25. That was with 2,000 shares. I lose again, and now I'm down 6 grand on the day. So I went from up 3 to down 6. And as we get closer to pre-market, as we get closer to the opening bell, it squeezed back up to 26, 27. At the open, it dips, it rips up to 28, 29. It then flushes down to 25. Looks like it's red on the day, rejecting that high, Looks like it's done. And then all of a sudden it rips back up to 28.29. It halts up. Dip and rip, then goes on the second halt, goes into a second halt at 30. Opens up to 38, goes up to 40. And I'm red on it. It pulls back all the way back down through 2 or 3 halts down to about 21. Then it bounces back up to over $50 a share. So I'm the guy who's red on a stock that's up 100% today. The problem was I started small, I built a cushion, and then just through the luck of the draw, the trade where I sized up to my biggest position of the day, I caught like a 2-point flush. And you know what? Sometimes that just happens. But unfortunately, it put me in the red. And then from that point forward, I was like, listen, man, you're in the red. I can't afford to keep taking a lot of risk. So as it started to come back up and I traded it on the move back up, I kept trading it, but I wasn't able to take enough shares to make a good dent in the losses. And that was the problem. So, and then I got to a certain point where I said, okay, when do I throw in the towel? When do I call it quits? When do I just say enough is enough? And well, we'll answer that as we get into the recap. So I hope you enjoy the recap. This is a disappointing day for me, but perspective is important. It certainly could be worse. I am on, right now, the best month of the year, month of August. Even including today. It's the best month of the year, which is great. So, and I've been on a really great green streak. The last red day I had was, I had 2 red days in July. Only 2 red days in July. So in the last 2 months, I've only had 2 red days. It's pretty good. But today was a tough day. So I hope you enjoy the recap. I'll put a link at the end of this episode to the bear market strategy video that I uploaded earlier in the week, and I might just put like a little highlight to it here. I hope you guys check that out after you watch this episode. I hope you hit the thumbs up. I said I would donate $1 to charity for everyone. They hit the thumbs up on it, and so I'll be doing that donation later today. So thank you guys who have done that as we premiered and got the video started. I hope that it helps you. A bear market strategy, we're in a bear market. This is a market where there is a lot of choppiness, and I got chopped up today. But today's recap and today's trading is a good example of how a professional trader, someone who's been doing this for a long time, is able to handle drawdown and how they trade and dig themselves out of the hole. So, other traders on a day like today could spiral and could end up being down 100, 200 grand easily on a stock as volatile as GCT, no doubt about it. I maintain discipline, I maintain composure, and by the end of the recap, you'll see where I finished the day. All right, so thank you guys for tuning in. Reminders always, trading is risky. My results are not typical, so take it slow. There's no guarantee you'll find success in the market. This is a difficult thing, and today was not an easy day. When it's easy, when it's hard like this, it just feels like it's not worth fighting it. And on other days where it's easier, relatively speaking, those are the days I want to try to push hard and do as best as I can. When it's hot, I want to gun it, and when it feels just choppy and I'm not on the right side of things, I got to get out of the choppy water before I get cut up. So I hope you enjoy the recap, and I'll see you back at it Monday morning. All right, so I'm going to go over the trades from today. Today was, hands down, the worst day I've had trading in well over a month. I had a day at some point in July, and I don't remember exactly when it was, but I did have a day in July where I went down. I think it was $6,000, and I recovered those losses, and I guess I must have finished the day green. I don't even remember what day that was, but I don't know. It was sometime in July, I guess. But so that was not a great day. And today was, I've been on this nice hot streak here. So I'm grateful to be green today. I went up $3,000 pre-market on GCT, and then I went red on it. I went down 6,000 total on the day, red 6,000, and then rallied back to up 1,000. So I am green after commissions, and I'm grateful for that, maintaining the green streak. But it was not a clean day. So we'll look at the trades on GCT. I'm down 1,400 on that stock. Look at the trades on VLCN, which was green, and then a couple of these in the middle. Not a lot to really go over on those, but let's see. So it's been 4-5 weeks since my last red day, about 5 weeks. So 25, 26 trading days. And I had 2 red days in early July or mid-July here, 2 red days back to back, 1,700 and 1,300. And then prior to that, the last red day was like end of June or mid-June. So anyways, I've been doing pretty well, but today wasn't super easy. So let's look at GCT. So it's halted right now, coming back up. It shows $30, and you can probably tell as soon as you look at the chart that this one was pretty wild today. So unfortunately, I sat down this morning at about 8 a.m. So I sat down where that blue line is, which means I missed this entire pre-market move on GCT. This IPO'd yesterday and I didn't trade it. I saw it and I was like, nah, it doesn't look interesting. It's selling off. But then after hours in pre-market, it popped up and you got that really nice move between 7 and 8 a.m. So my first trades on it were with small size. I did dip trades off of volume weight average price with 250 and 500 shares. I made $500. So I got myself up 500 on my first couple trades. And then we broke down, and on this rip back through VWAP here, I got some nice trades there and right there that put me up 3,000. So 3,000 in profit on the day on GCT. And then this area here, right in here, is where I ended up going from up 3 to down 6. So I gave back $9,000 of profit on it. So I think we've got to look sort of closely at that. So my problem on this one here, we had a nice trade here, right? This break of 24.74, and I sized up on that trade a little bit. So let's see, the time on that was about 8:35. Let me just go back here. So around 8:35, it starts breaking out there. So I added on that. That was a 2,000 share trade, which is a pretty good sized trade for sure. So I took 2,000 shares of that, and that was what put me up to 3,000 on the day as we got that squeeze up to 26.59. It pulls back here, and as it curls back up, I took a couple trades in this area, small gains, nothing big because it didn't really open up. And then literally right into this candle, I bought 4,000 shares as it started to curl up at 25.50. It goes to 25.75 and then drops to 24, just like that. And, so on that trade, and let me just, let's see, let me just look at that trade. So that was at 9:09 a.m. So 9:09 a.m., I bought 4,000 shares, and then I added another 1,000 on the dip. So I had 5,000 shares total, and I cut the loss at 24. So that put me down in that trade. I went from up 3,000 on the day to down about 3,000 on the day. It's a $6,000 loss, just about. So it was a pretty bad loss. And I was like, man, for real? Like that's super lame. I mean, it's just the luck of the draw. I thought it was going to curl here. Is there anything that could have been a red flag on this? Well, the MACD was not super strong. We were in this sort of sideways consolidation. So that wasn't ideal. It wasn't a perfect position. We had already had some false breakouts, but not too bad. But of course, then the price being higher. So I think I sized up a little too heavy on it. But on the other hand, I was already up 3,000 on the day. I thought I had a cushion, and I just really wasn't expecting $1 a share drop. I wasn't expecting that. And in fact, I caught one of the nastiest candles of the morning as of that point. So anyways, it is what it is. So but then add salt to the open wound. Let's look at the 10-second chart for 9 a.m. So it sells off right here. It pops up. So this is my entry right here. I then added right here on the dip. I then stopped out right here, and then it rips right back up to 26. Are you kidding me? So then I got back in at 26 right here with 2,000 shares. I stop out again down here as it breaks 25 at like 24.80. So I lost another $2,000, and then I went from down 2,000 or 3,000 on the day to down 5,900 on the day, 6,000 on the day. And I was like, my goodness, I am just heading in the wrong direction here on this one. So that was super disappointing. We ended up having this move here up to 42. And from down a total of probably 6,000 on it, I did recover most of the loss, which is good, but pretty disappointing. So I traded this going into the open right here. I held it into the open for the break of 27. We got a nice squeeze here up to 28.93. I took profit. It sells off. I thought it was done. It then comes back, and I bought 1,000 shares for the break of 28. It goes up to 29.45, halts up. I take all off the table, but like 250 shares. It resumes. I bought 1,000 shares at 30. I immediately sold it as it pops up here to 31.40 and was holding again about 200 shares going into the next halt. And then here I was like, I don't know. I don't think I can do a dip and rip on this after the second halt. So I just held 100 shares, took profit on half of the 200. And then I still held 13 shares by this time here and sold the rest at about $40. So, the thing is, I didn't have, at this point here where I added 1,000, I knew that was a chase. And I was like, there's a possibility this thing will flush right back down. There's no way I could have punched that for 5,000 shares. I mean, I wish I had in some ways, but if I hadn't, it went the wrong way, I would have gone to down 7,000 or 8,000. And then I probably wouldn't have had any hope of recovering. So the mentality changes when you go red on the day, from trying to have a nice big green day to just kind of minimizing the damage. So these were really quick trades, just trying to slice off, little winners here, little winners there, try to soften how red I was on the day. Quick dip and rip, and then holding a little longer. I saw some other traders locked up really nice gains on it. Those were traders that were able to either avoid getting caught in this nasty flush at 9:09 this morning, or who held through it and it rallied back up and they sold for a profit. They didn't, panic sell like I did. And the reason I panic sold is because I started with a little bit too big of a position. But again, I took 4,000 shares on that because I was already up 3 on the day. The stock was trading nicely. It was in nice consolidation, and I was like, here we go. We're going for the break of 26 and a quick squeeze up to 28. I ended up having the right idea for sure, but the timing was wrong, and I took too much size to afford to hold through the whole pullback. So ended up, instead of continuing just to add as it went lower and potentially risk being down 10,000, I cut the loss. I then got right back in, cut the loss again. So then I started to get a little frustrated, and then rallied back on this move here. So then the stock that sort of also saved the day a little bit was VLCN. So VLCN comes out early this morning with news. It's about 9 a.m. It comes out with news, 9:10. And so I jumped in this at 288. So jumped in at 288, and I started this one with 5,000 shares, and I went real quick to 10,000 and then went to 20,000 for the break of 3. So I sized heavier on this one to compensate a little bit and to try to make back some of the loss that I caught on GCT. But this one had pretty tight spreads, and I wasn't really concerned about taking the bigger size on it. So this was an example where I was deeper in the red at that point, 6,000. I took a higher position size on this, but a lower price stock. So in fact, the risk was actually less than if I had kept trading GCT at that same time. But I did exceed my 10,000 share sort of cap that I've been working with for the last few months, or really since like mid-June. And there's been a couple exceptions, through the last 2 months where I've gone a little higher than 10,000, but pretty rarely. Today, I kind of felt like I needed to dig myself a little out of the hole. And fortunately, I was able to catch some profit on the move up to 318. So realistically, only got like 15 cents a share, $2,700, but whatever, that's fine. It pulled back. I took one trade on it again at the open for the break of 3. That was okay up to 315, but wasn't perfect. So that one helped quite a bit for sure. And then small trades on GNS, BWV, Wet G, and Meg L. Nothing big there. So, fortunately today I was able to recover the losses and get back to green. I wasn't sure I'd be able to when I was down 6 because GCT was our leading gapper and it wasn't trading nicely. But then we had VLCN that popped up. So that was good. And then GCT did end up opening up and I was able to, catch a little bit on it, but I just couldn't afford to take the risk. I felt on VLCN that my risk was quite a bit less because really with the volume it had, I didn't think I was risking more than 10 cents. Unfortunately, on GCT, there was the concern of getting caught in a really big flush. So at this point now, it's kind of disappointing, and I'm going to get a little FOMO because we had such a nice move here, and I'm red on the stock. And if this ends up rallying back to 38 or 40 or higher, I'm going to feel like, man, I can't believe that I'm red on it. But perspective is important. And, this is what, let me refresh this page. This is what I'm trying to maintain is consistency. And I was able to rally from being in the red to being into green, which maintains my hot streak. And that's something that I can be really proud of today. So I can take some solace in that. And, the fact is some days are just not as clean as others. And today, for whatever reason, I just had a really hard time staying, getting myself in a good position. But, I've had days where I went from green to red, back to green, and then went all the way back down to max loss because I just didn't know when to slow down. And those are days where I sat and I was like, dude, you would have been a lot better off if you had just walked away when you were up, when you had gotten back to green. Why didn't you just take the blessing? You were down 6,000, you got back to green. That by itself is a victory. Shut it down. Clearly this hasn't been your day. Try again tomorrow. So that's what you say in hindsight when you end up being red. In the moment, FOMO can get you, and next thing you know, you're punching the order for 2,000 shares here at 35.96 to go into a halt. And instead of showing a gap up to 38, it's showing a gap down to 33. And you're going to lose $7,000, $8,000 on it. And just like that, you've gone from being flat on the day and managing risk to biggest red day, or whatever. Like these are the types of days where emotions start to pick up, and it's so easy to do that impulse punch of the button, and next thing you know, you're you regret it. And so I know that I have that tendency. I've done it many times, and I know that right now After fees and commissions, because I took bigger size on VLCN, so my commissions today are about $600, and my ECN fees are $600, and my commissions are $200. So I'm really only up $200 today. It's a green day, but I don't have a cushion. It's 10:48. We're coming to 11. I don't have a cushion today. So unfortunately for me, the right move is to shut it down, to sit out, and for my own sake, it's best not to look at the charts and get FOMO. It's much better to say, you know what? You're locking up your 26th consecutive green day. Some days are easier than others. You managed to pull it off here from being in the red to in the green. Be grateful. Come back on Monday. So I'm going to lead by example and do exactly that, and I'll see you guys next week. Those who watch this recap on YouTube, I hope you guys check out the episode that we uploaded this week on my bear market trading strategy. I'll put a link to that right there, and I'll put a link here to another recent upload that you guys can check out. All right, thanks so much for tuning in. Reminder as always, trading is risky. My results are not typical, so take it slow, and we'll be back at it on Monday.